Welcome into Shaping Reality for July 2025. I'm so excited you guys are here. I would imagine that you have one or two questions for Penny tonight. Make sure you put them over in the chat. I don't know where it is for you guys. I think over there. And we'll try to get to you. I'm Kimberly with Journey to the New Earth. And of course, I'm joined by the wonderful Penny Kelly, author, educator, consciousness teacher, and all around good gal on the planet. How are you, Penny?
I'm trying to be a good gal. So,
Well, there's a lot going on. I don't know that we have anything to talk about.
oh my,
Oh oh my is it. I
yeah,
would imagine that everyone out there has questions too, because the climate certainly has shifted.
yeah.
Penny, we've got a lot to get to tonight. And I want to say to those of watching, if you
Mhm.
didn't catch Penny with Jean-Claude last night on Beyond Mystic,
Oh,
I highly recommend it. It's 2 hours, power packed. And I suggest that you just go right over to Rumble and look for it on Rumble, because they only do about maybe 30, 40 minutes on YouTube.
oh,
So
that's right.
catch that on Rumble. A lot of your questions are going to be answered, or topics that you've had on your mind are going to be addressed. But tonight we're going to probably do a deep dive into the top things on Penny's list. But check that out when we wrap up here. So Penny,
Yeah.
where would you like to start tonight?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think probably the things there've been like 10 things at the top of my mind, but the three things are watching the drama unfold in Washington. So that involves Trump, and the guy that I think is playing Trump. The guy, there's some things I saw that was like, that's not Trump. And that's not Melania. And then again, that's not Trump. That's not even the last guy that I saw that thought wasn't Trump. And and then there's the whole Epstein thing. I had I had back in the day. Well, and then there's one more thing: the financial change that has just been initiated. I don't know. That's the Genius Act. And I'll come back to that. I don't know if that will be valid because I don't think that was Trump that signed it. So um, when you have somebody doing some kind of treason or standing in, for the president uninvited, then you don't everything that he enacts is invalid, and we have a chance to get ahead of something, maybe. So, I want to just start with something that long time ago, when the whole Epstein was in jail kind of thing happened, and then there was, oh, he's committed suicide, he's dead. There was a piece that I saw of a laundry truck. I think it was like a laundry truck, looked like that came to the prison and drove inside the prison at a time that was not scheduled. And the guys who witnessed that truck and said there was no laundry delivered, but they took out a guy. They took out a guy, somebody sneaked into the back of the truck, or was put in the back of the truck, and away they went. And I
And they
thought,
saw it? They saw that guy get in the truck?
yeah. And I was like, that was Epstein. They were trading out Epstein for some reason. And so then I forgot about that. And however many years have gone by, a couple at least. And then just the other day, I saw somebody's tweet saying, I'm so nervous, but I'm going to tell you that there were some irregularities that happened. There was a delivery. The delivery was not on the delivery schedule. Evidently, that's everybody who comes into the prison gets logged in. And this truck or whatever it was did not get logged in. It didn't get logged out. And it went out with somebody. And I thought, oh, that's what I saw way back at the beginning when everybody was saying, oh, he committed suicide. My thought was, no, he didn't. He's still alive. And I think he is still alive. And so um, that's just my personal opinion. There's a lot of people that are going to say, oh, we saw him. His brother declared that that was him. I just don't think that's true. And when you see someone who has been hung or choked or strangled or killed or whatever, when you see anybody who's been hurt badly, especially up around the head, they are barely recognizable. And once you've seen a few people who are deceased before they get all prettied up, if they can be prettied up, you wouldn't recognize them. And that was true for my own mother. She had a motorcycle accident when back in, God, I think it was like 1973 or something like that. Fractured her skull, gravel all stuck in her skin and under her eye. And they, when I went into the, what do you call that? The emergency, not emergency, intensive care. Yeah. And I said, I don't see my mother. And they said, she's right there. And I was like, oh my God, that's my mother. I didn't even recognize her. Swollen, black and blue, distorted features. She was out of it. So she didn't know I was there and didn't recognize me. So she couldn't give any signal, like, hi, Pen. That wasn't happening. And I think that the brother who said it, yeah, I think that's my brother. I don't think that was really the brother at all. It might have been a close look-alike, but I don't think it was him. So I think overall, there's a lot of fuss happening. I knew before Elon Musk said it that Donald Trump was in those files, the Epstein files, and that's why they were slow walking those. And then when Elon said it's because he's in the files, I thought, oh, you shouldn't have said that. Okay. And I thought that was the beginning of the end of Trump. And now it looks like it's all falling apart, the whole Trump thing, the whole, that whole energy. So that, we'll see what unfolds from that. But the dramatic turnaround that Trump has gone through, you don't do something like that just, for no reason. There's usually something big behind that kind of reversal. And I don't think that's really Trump making those reversals. And I was going to bring that up again last night. I had written some things. And I thought, okay, let's just watch and see what happens. But I saw a few photos of Trump, how he always was covering up his hand because it was bruised. Why was it bruised? We don't know, but possibly because when you get a intravenous line or a PICC line put in, to have something intravenous introduced, it makes a bruise. And then I saw, down in the abdomen and crotch area, it's like, oh my, that is not Trump. And I think they hauled somebody, some Trump lookalike who's barely navigable, and put him in place and said, okay, you're it. Play the role.
How would they get rid of the actual Trump? Or did Trump just walk off, or is he in Cheyenne Mountain?
I don't know. There've been a lot of talk that he's hiding in Cheyenne Mountain. In the look-see, I think it was the look-see that I did for June, maybe June or July. I can't remember now which one. I said, if that is the real Trump, if that is not the real Trump, this was the July look-see. If that's not the real Trump, there's so much damage been done to the Trump name and like vision and illusion and all of that hope, that even if the real Trump were to come out now, it's too late. He wouldn't be able to recover. So I don't know if he's in Cheyenne Mountain. I don't know if he's on his island that he bought somewhere down in the Caribbean. I don't know if he's traveling somewhere else, visiting somebody. Maybe he's hiding in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. But I could not find him. So that's not a good sign. And the one, I think I said last night, they had a picture of a Trump, and it was at a conference in Europe, and he was shorter than a lot of the other guys. And I thought, no.
Taller.
Yeah. And then they had a picture, I think it was Benjamin Fulford had a photo of Trump, or a video of Trump and Melania in the Oval Office. And that was not, it wasn't him and it wasn't her. And it wasn't even close. She was so much shorter than him. She must have been 5 or 6 inches shorter. And Melania is almost as tall as Trump is. And when she wears heels, she's almost, head to head with him. So I think they were trying to counter some of the stories where people were accusing others of that's not really him. He, if Melania isn't with him, that's not him. So they came up with somebody that from a distance even didn't even come close to looking like her. So the game, I think, is about to blow up. I think, probably between now and August 10th, there's going to be a huge end to the whole Trump story, not the Trump story, the whole Trump effort to make America great again. The whole MAGA thing is just it is fracturing something fierce.
Why August 10th?
I don't know. That was just a date that I saw. It was like, wow, there's a lot of uproar between now, which was like yesterday and the day before. And I have been out of all of the news cycle because my brother was killed last week. And so there were a lot of tears and a lot of, like, oh my God, it was my youngest brother. And it was really sad. It was a gruesome ending. I wouldn't have wished that on anybody. And, there's only 3 of us left out of 8 in our family. And so it was a hard week and I didn't pay attention. And when I came back to look again, I started looking yesterday. I was like, oh, wow, between now and August 10th, there is stuff hitting the fan from every direction. And yet it was actually a relief for a lot of people because they were going, oh, that's the problem. That's what's been the holdup. That's what they've been trying to keep hidden. And it isn't hidden anymore. And that gives people this sense of, well, that isn't what I wanted, but I wanted the truth. So that is a wonderful thing from one point of view, but it's a heartbreaker for the citizens of the United States. So,
do you think that was the real Trump that was campaigning and was elected? Or do you think this whole thing has been manufactured?
No, I don't think the whole thing was manufactured. Some of those were actually him. But somewhere along the line, I don't know where he went.
And when you say you can't find him, so I would imagine that you go looking for him energetically. You're looking for his energy signature.
Yeah, right.
And are you generally able, or in the past, have you been able to find him, or at least he's in this vicinity kind of thing?
I've been able to say, oh, there he is. He's still alive and well. Sometimes I get a picture of where he is. Sometimes I don't. But I haven't been able to find him. So that disturbs me. That worries me. It's like, oh, what if he's gone? What if he's, you know, then what? So I think I said last night, talking to JC, well, maybe we're going to end up with JD Vance. That, you know, ever since I came back from the funeral, I keep checking in. And you're not supposed to check in as often as I've been checking in. But
Because they can pick up your energy coming in looking for him?
no, because you end up bringing too much of the last
Oh,
failure to find him with you. So you have less of time. It's really best if you let a sleep period intervene. And
mhm.
then, you're likely to get something new and fresh. So there hasn't been anything new and fresh. And either he's not here or he is well shielded somehow. I don't know.
Is
So,
there anything on this planet existing in human possession that can actually block your energy frequencies from being detected?
yeah, a few things, but not much. Not much because consciousness has almost no barriers
Yeah.
that, you know, what is it? What are those bags that you put your computer in? Um,
Oh, uh,
those don't work. Lead doesn't work. Shielded rooms don't work. And remember me talking about the time somebody asked, did I know what Area 51 was? This was way back, like 20, 30 years ago. And I said, what? No, never heard of it. And they said, you never heard of Area 51? Nope, sorry. And I was curious after that. So that's when I went looking at, and I said, no, what is it? And they said, it's a hidden secret base out in, I don't know, somewhere in California or Nevada or somewhere. And so later, after I was done teaching that class, I went to see. I thought, okay, gave myself directions, go to Area 51. And I found myself in this, like an elevator going down this shaft, like a mine shaft, and down and down and down, way down. And finally the elevator stopped and I got off. I don't know what made me think I needed to ride an elevator, but when you're fully allowing the experience to unfold naturally, you just go with whatever's happening. And so I'm walking along this, probably 8 stories down, and I come to this room where there's some kind of meeting going on, and there's ETs in that room. And I go in thinking, holy cow, what's happening here? The instant I walked in the room, those ETs were like somebody just came in. And so my immediate response was, I'm just going to be a fly on the wall. And then one of the ETs said, get a fly swatter. And I was like, ah. So that was, I did not take the elevator back up. It was like, I'm out of here.
yeah.
Came all the way back, and one of them followed me all the way back here and confronted me. I said, I'm sorry. I wondered what Area 51 was. I wasn't spying. I won't go there again. I'll leave it alone. I'm sorry. I won't, I promise. And they left me alone. So I have not been back since. I have honored my own promise that I won't go poking around because some of those ETs are incredibly aware of any little shift or shake or disturbance or disappearance or entry of a form of consciousness into a space that they are in. And that was a big lesson for me. It's like, oh, okay, there is no fooling some of those people.
Yeah.
They are extraordinary.
I have heard, Penny, that you can actually, and this makes sense to me, you can flatten your energy field to where
Yeah,
it's just very razor thin, which makes you less detectable.
that's true. You can, if you can get into a space and become absolutely silent and
Mhm.
transparent, that also you become non-existent for that few moments or whatever it is. And then whatever is after you can't find you.
Yeah.
So, and it is like a flattening or sometimes the little men in brown robes were trying to teach me how to do this. And they said, you become absolutely transparent. Like things just move right through you, like you do not exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have occasionally practiced some of those things, but usually it's only after I get into trouble in some way, poking around, doing something that, shocked me or frightened me. And so I come back like, oh, okay, what do I need to know to handle that kind of thing? So,
Mm-hmm. What do you see unfolding if we don't have the duly elected president on board in the Oval Office?
right.
Where do we go from here?
Um, Two things. I was asking that same question, and two answers have come up a couple times now. One is the people are too awake to allow that game to continue, and if we don't get like let's say JD Vance does not step in. Let's say something happens to Trump. This is something I saw that, and this was when I was still thinking that maybe that's the real Trump. But what I kept seeing was that come October, maybe I couldn't find like something happened to him, like he was taken out, and I thought, um, they're gonna get to him. If it's not the real Trump, they're just going to take out the actor that's been playing Trump. But having said that, if they take out even the actor, we're left with what? JD Vance? Is he going to play the game the way they want him to play? I don't know if he will. And if he does, then what I see following that is people give him like a honeymoon period. And then if he doesn't stand for the people, which he doesn't have a chance to stand for us because there are other people in control, 100% in control. If what happens long term is after the honeymoon is over, there's like mass revolt against the government, and there's a lot of chaos, and it gets worse over 2026. Ends up being a civil war type thing in 2027. Um, it's not fun. It isn't smooth. So
I,
um,
yeah, I always like to come in kind of with the normie perspective because
yeah, I know. I like that about you. Yeah,
when the Epstein mess started
yeah,
with Trump saying, it's a hoax and da 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 da, my knee jerk reaction was, I'm done. I'm done with these people. I'm done with this whole thing. And I was talking to my daughter and I said, it's a good thing that I'm not weapons trained.
yeah. I know.
In other
Oh,
words,
well,
and if I'm fed up,
yeah,
like I am fed up,
I know.
then I know that a large portion of the population is fed up because I pretty much go at,
You're in step. You're in step, and even
yes.
if you're not in step, you're still in tune. Yeah, yeah.
And
That
I think we've got a problem because I think that people are, they're done. The lies, the difficulty in making it financially in any country on this planet right now, the inconsistency in, um, I want to say punishment, that's not the right word, in judicial recourse for crimes. I mean, it's gotten to the point that I
there is none.
there is none. It has become ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, I don't know how a duly elected government's going to manage it, let alone a collective that's trying to take over and take us out.
I know. Um, One of the things that aggravates that whole thing is the other thing I want to talk about is the financial system that has been signed and put into place by somebody playing Trump. And that is the Genius Act. And so I just want to mention to people, if you want to hear what that Genius Act has done, then go to YouTube and do a search for Miles Harris. Miles, Miles, last name Harris. And he's got a video out. Let's see if I can, yeah, I write to narrow it down. The financial reset that nobody is watching. And there's been a lot of talk, even from some crypto people, about, oh, wow, this is, this is going to make this easier and that and da. And that, I just want to read through some of the points that act has put into place. So what the Genius Act really did was to rewrite all the rules of ownership. And that's for land, for cars, for planes, for boats, for stocks, for bonds, for anything. And what they've done is created this thing called tokenization. And tokenization gets some good things, maybe. If you're a financier would love these things. Faster settlement, fractional ownership, efficient markets, and everything, real estate, bonds, money, possessions, everything being controlled by programmable code. And the code is written by whoever wants the control. So,
So that sounds like the Fed, only digitalized.
it is. It is. It's the same system, except it's digital with a few more controls. So tokenization is when real assets become digital records, and you have a claim to the digital record, but that the code that controls that blockchain controls your access, your use, your ability to live in or enjoy the benefits of whatever the asset was or is. You don't really own the asset. You don't have legal title to it, and you don't have any legal recourse because that asset has rules associated with it before it ever gets onto the blockchain. And once it's in the blockchain, it's done. There's no recourse. So the blockchain, here's some things. The transactions settle instantly. And the investment strategy is the same as what you were just mentioning. It's the same as what we already have. The stock market, the bond market, all of that, it all looks the same. But it works a little differently because the people who write the code write the rules. And you cannot just invest if you're not invited. You can't opt in, is what they call it. Right now, if you go to the bank and put your money in, you have opted in to that bank. But if you don't have an invite to be part of a blockchain or an asset, or to use a blockchain and its rules, then you're out. It's not more inclusive, and it isn't something it doesn't empower people at all. So
this sounds like a setup for a real class system.
It is. Oh my gosh, it is. Sorry for ruffling papers here. So let me tell a couple more things. Your ability to hold that asset, to transfer it, or to do anything with it depends on the code and the permission of those who operate the blockchain. And they can do that remotely and without warning. Your access may be restricted by conditions you did not agree to and you cannot change. And going to court, this bypasses the court system. This makes our entire financial and governmental system inoperable. The whole thing just becomes kind of like oh, that was nice. But that's old fashioned. So, smart contracts. Whoops, a couple more. Smart contracts self execute digital agreements, carry out the code, follow the rules and the conditions, and make the payment the moment conditions have been met. Ownership can be transferred automatically without human input. Blockchain is a shared ledger and it records who owns what, and it can't be edited without consensus from the entire system. And the last few things I would say are public systems like Bitcoin, for instance, public crypto, are permissionless. But tokenized finance being built by banks is permission only. So only approved parties can use it. And they are preparing for digital versions of national currencies that all are under those same blockchain rules. So, we're at a point where what's that saying that we saw that said, you will own nothing and you'll be happy? That's about where that Genius Act is taking us. And Trump signed it almost immediately. And I'm hoping to God that that is not the real Trump, because that makes that whole Genius Act irrelevant. So, it's passed by both houses of Congress, but what I see is that over the end of 2026 and through 2027 and into 2028, there is revolt against almost every Western government that exists, and we lose. So,
what do you mean we lose?
We lose. The controllers win.
You've seen that?
I have.
How? Okay, let me just back up for a minute, because I don't understand how that's possible, because we have so much more energy behind us.
I know, but we have a whole bunch of people who go right along with the program. And that makes it very risky for anybody who does not go along with it. They stand out like a sore thumb. You can't trade. You have to be completely self-sufficient if you want to survive outside that system. That system doesn't last for very long, okay? The entire U.S. government is done for completely by the early 2030s. There is no more U.S. government. It's a chaotic mess. The business, this is what the little men in brown robes were showing. The rise of business to power, it's in that blockchain. And corporations will be allowed to produce blockchain cryptos, stable coins, but not us, unless we're going to back it by the US dollar. And I think it's a setup to just try to preserve the dollar, which is worthless. It's like, what do you mean backed by dollar? There's nothing there. But that's the system that they're setting up. And so that rise of business to power lasts for anywhere from 5 to 50 years. I don't think it will last very long. I don't see it lasting past 2045. So that's about 19 years, maybe. But that's the rest of my life, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I have to say, I'm surprised to hear that we don't win, simply because I sense so much anger and frustration
Right.
out there, and not just in my age group, but the younger people have nothing to look forward to.
There is a chance that we can win, but there isn't enough when I keep looking at why are we losing, and the answer is always the same: not enough people understand. Everybody's going along to get along.
Kind of like COVID. Just wear the mask. Don't make a fuss.
I know,
Just wear the mask. Just
and that is really the other thing that I have seen that ends their winning is if Russia steps in. Russia steps in and bombs or does something. It looks like they bomb some places in the U.S., Washington, D.C., and a few other places. And that is just so far-fetched from my point of view. It's like, what do you mean, Russia? And they do it from the point of view of, we're rescuing you people from the people who have you by the short hairs. And then whoever survives those bombs, we get help and we get support from other countries who feel sorry for whoever's left in the U.S. and what they've had to go through for the last 15 years. So,
it'll just be the U.S. If you said other Western countries, then that would be Canada.
The only thing I was looking at, so the only thing I can really speak for is the U.S., but I have seen them bombing some things in Europe. It's like, but that was not related to we're rescuing Europe. They were actually fighting NATO. And when I saw that, the confrontations with Europe, but the bombings that went on with us, we were pretty much left alone and ignored, isolated by everybody. And a lot of people got lost. A lot of people died, is probably the more accurate way to say it, because we couldn't get anything. And nobody knew how to take care of themselves. Nobody had the skills of self-sufficiency. And then when we continued to be pounded by the fake government, that's when Russia stepped in, finally said, let's rescue those poor American people, whoever's left, and get rid of the fake government that they are dealing with. So it's almost like something out of a movie. I keep thinking, I must be seeing this wrong. It's got to be wrong. And when at one time I have seen that we prevail, but it's a massive coordinated dropping out, like the little man in brown robe said. Sit down and don't leave your house and don't buy anything and don't spend a single damn dime for like 3 or 4 days. Have your food and your water and everything you need. Don't go to work. Don't go anywhere. Stay home. And you will exert your power in a way that sends a clear message that says, look, we're not going along with this. But I've only seen that possibility one time. Most of the time, we're just too busy fighting one another and arguing.
All right, I have a question.
Okay.
You said that if we all sat down for 3 or 4 days, they would get the message.
Yeah.
My question is, or maybe my statement is, we need to get rid of the they.
I know.
In other words, if there was no they there, then we've got the room to start creating the world we want.
That's right.
Which brings us to the Epstein list.
Yep.
Which, if that information was out in the public, my sense is a lot of those people would get taken care of organically.
That is true.
And my backup to that is, we know who's on the list.
That is, yeah.
We know. We're just waiting for CNN to say it, which is ridiculous.
They're not.
We know who's on the list.
Yeah.
We know.
We do.
And
we don't need to be told.
and we don't need to be told. We're just sitting and waiting
Yep.
again for someone to come and fix it.
Yeah, that is true. And one of the things that I think is really, I have seen a couple times that a few people who pop up there, I did not recognize them. I don't know who they are, where they came from, but they stand up and say kind of the equivalent of, come on, guys. And people get behind them. I don't know if there's enough, but that leads to a bit of, it looks like there's a civil war going on between different factions in the US, and yet everybody is against the government. And so it's like, what kind of mess is this? We're fighting one another and we're all fighting the government. What? How is that going to work? And I don't know how it'll work. So I just look and see what I see and where are they, where's the balance of energy at this moment. And I keep hoping that it's going to shift, that the balance of energy will shift. And I don't see how it can't shift. It's got to. People are not stupid. I think people are incredibly bright and they know. And they're willing to like hold some kind of energy. Maybe they don't want to be out there on the front line, but there are people who will be out there, stand right up and say, do this, don't do that. Let's go here. Let's not do that. Let's do this. And so on and so forth. There are a handful of people in Washington that are clean. Only a handful. Probably less than what's on both of, the
Yeah,
fingers.
I definitely could list 2 off the top of my head, maybe 3, maybe 4.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'm thinking, let's see, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Jim Jordan.
Those are all on my list.
Yeah, maybe Grassley,
Ron Paul.
Rand Paul, both of those.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's 7. There might be a few others, but yeah, we get into this breaking up of the U.S. That confuses things, and so it looks pretty messy. And people are, they're like, okay.
So it seems to me, Penny, I just want to drill down on this because I think that this is the crux of the dilemma. So
What?
we all came into Earth, and my understanding, and correct me if I've got this wrong, is that there were more people that wanted to come than there were bodies for. So you kind of got we're a little bit lucky to be here on the planet at this time because this is an important time. So my guess is that if that is true, then the people that are here had specific qualities that were necessary for what was going to be happening at this time.
Right. That
So
is true.
that tells me even when I hear something that I think, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm qualified for that, I stop for a minute and say, wait a minute, you made the decision. Clearly you are because you're
Yes.
here.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly the people that are here on the planet right now, particularly attracted to this kind of information, we have what it takes to do what needs to be done. And it's as though we're almost hypnotized or anesthetized by this story, by this drama, by this emotional jerk arounding we're getting lately.
Right.
Instead of saying, this is bullshit,
I know.
and deciding, no, all you clowns better not be out on the street because
Oh,
it's not going to be a good place for you. And
I've seen some of those. Yeah,
it's like we've all got to grow a pair.
I know. That's so true. And we have some time yet, a little bit of time. That little bit of time is absolutely valuable for doing exactly that. I was assessing over this last week, like, okay, in between all the tears and all the texting back and forth and everything, was like, okay, where are we at? Um, what? How are we ready to stand up? No, not yet. Always, it was like, no, not yet. But if we have 6 months, when I look at how fast people turned when the whole Trump thing, when we attacked Iran and then said, oh, we don't need to see the Epstein files, people turned immediately. And my thought was, I want to see that kind of turn on a dime action that has to do with we're taking charge. We're going to run our own country, our own whatever. So I think, there's a lot of people that go to great effort to make everything look like it's all proceeding normally. Everything is perfectly normal. What are you talking about with all that conspiracy theory stuff? And that's the big play, is the effort to make it all look like everything is just normal. It's just moving forward like you would expect it to move forward. And, and then there's this bait and this hook, and then boom, we're sucked in. We can't own anything. We can't touch anything. That's going to lead to some bloody revolt. And I don't think we need to get to that. I think we need to use our heads. And I think you are so right. We are so capable. We have everything we need within us. We just have to activate it. And so I'm hoping that this next 6 months will do some of that activation. And come Christmas, my Christmas present will be, oh, wow, we've shifted. Yes, we have enough people to stand up and say, nope, sorry, not doing that. We're not having that. Good luck, you guys. Bye.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
I when I look at the just over the top level of drama and distraction being created out there,
Oh, yeah.
and when I look at the fundamental principles that I think a lot of us were looking for with this new administration, no more wars,
Yep.
release the Epstein list because we're tired of living in a pedophilic economy, get rid of the toxic this, which was designed to do exactly what it's doing,
That's right.
along with, and it's the major things that have not been addressed. It's all these little window dressings around the major things.
Right.
And even Kennedy, who
Oh,
I have I had such belief in, it's waning a little bit based on what Castor Austin Fitz said in that interview that JC shared last night.
yeah.
Um, the major things that we were so excited about being changed or fixed have not been touched.
No, they haven't.
It's all the window dressings around them. And it's
That's right.
almost as though, and I'll tell you, Penny, this is a personal experience. I saw a video, perhaps some of you watching saw it as well. I believe it was on Instagram or X, of a different angle of the Butler shooting.
Oh,
And the entire thing looked like a play.
I, I, I can't help but have those same thoughts. I haven't seen what you saw, but the part of me that is aware that a Secret Service agent is supposed to clear the perimeter, make sure nobody gets in, remove anybody immediately who looks like they're even questionable, and they're watching this guy and waiting for him to shoot, and then they take him out. It's like, oh my God.
And then my guess is that you take the target, you get the target down behind something, you
Yeah,
keep the target down, you surround the target, you get the target into the vehicle and out of the area as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You don't stand the target up as the flag on the crane is being lowered behind the target to
Yeah.
get the perfect shot,
I know.
the perfect iconic photo.
Right. It
And
does look really staged. I have to agree. Um,
there's too much marketing behind it.
yeah. That is one of the things that often I would have the impression that we were being coddled, I guess would be a good word, with all this good language. And then when Trump got in, all kinds of activity, we're going to clean this, we're going to clear that. That I think might have been the real Trump. The Then something dramatic changed big time, and I'm now everything is a mess. It's just a mess, and
Well, what happened to no more? I don't want any more people dying in wars.
I know.
Now we're sending equipment to Ukraine,
Yeah,
weapons to Ukraine.
I
And
know.
then we no more sandbox wars. Then we bomb Iran. It's the Epstein list is
Yeah.
in my mind, the Epstein list is crucial to the financial health of our nation, the emotional health of our nation, the legal health of our nation, because we're running an economy based on pedophilia and child sacrifice.
I think there's more to it than that. I hinted at that a little bit in a couple of other conversations, but why? Why? What's behind the Epstein thing? What is driving that? Why would they need to hijack all those children to do all that um, chemical adrenochrome stuff, all that sex stuff? Why? What is the big driver or the reason for that? That is not like us. That isn't like the earth human. We love our children, we take care of them, we raise them, we protect them,
We would
etc.
throw ourselves in front of a slow moving train
I know.
to save them.
And so the question that I was dealing with over the last few weeks is what's behind the Epstein thing? And I had all kinds of scenarios. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe blah, blah, blah. And it just came down to something I saw such a long time ago. And it was really um, I should have shut my doors. Hang on, we might get some interruption here. Um, it just came down to it might be very simple. It might be that Epstein was a front for the Israeli takeover, which is not really Israeli. Sorry.
Well,
It is
it's an
really,
it's an off planet race.
yeah, right. The thing that I saw long, long, long time ago was a small series of things, and I eventually put them together and just kind of thought, is that real? Am I seeing what has happened? And it was the Meyer Amschel Bauer, the original Rothschild, who was, and I think I talked about this once before. He was walking home, and he lived in a Jewish ghetto. I remember me saying some boys kind of came around him and were making fun of him because he was Jewish, and he was so, I mean, he was a good, hardworking, good-hearted man. And that treatment by those boys, and he didn't dare say anything, or he would have been, who knows, taken out or imprisoned, or all kinds of charges made up against him. So what happened was he resolved in himself that by God, he was going to get control of the world, and he was going to teach those kind of people a lesson. And he made that his life's goal, changed his name to Rothschild, and time goes on. Okay. So we get to, I'm not sure what the what the time frame was, but I thought it would look like either World War One or World War Two, and I thought it was World War One. And there was some kind of effort to win the war, which they didn't. They didn't win World War One. The Germans didn't, and the result was that they were contacted by somebody from over in Tibet, over in China, somewhere in those mountains, and the contact was, I'll just say, it wasn't ordinary humans.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was people from planet Earth who have stayed well hidden for thousands and thousands of years. They live here, they're part of what goes on here, but it's like they live in their own strata, and we're down here and they're up here. And they said, we'll help you, because they wanted control of the entire planet. And especially after World War One, and they saw the kind of brutality and cruelty and awfulness that humanity was capable of, they said, we'll help you. And so I think some of the Rothschild family made a deal, and I don't know if it was the boys or the father. I don't know how long the father lived or even when he lived, but the deal was made, and they have been sort of keeping the Rothschild family on top of everything. They have an edge, and the Rothschilds are, we could say, they're to blame, but they're not really what's well hidden. What's well hidden is that group of other terrestrial people that don't want to be out in front, but they want control, and they need minions in order to manage the planet. And the Rothschilds are the perfect minions. And they have their systems, of that they had been putting in place. Remember me talking about the disruption of a village, an isolated village, and then you get maltreated children or maladjusted kids who then grow up and become narcissistic or selfish or whatever. And the whole thing just builds from there. So they needed somebody to head up and gather those people who were maladjusted into a global system. And that became globalism. And we're seeing what that looks like, how that was meant to work, and it's not good.
You know, Penny, you said something last month that really struck me and I've been thinking about since.
Mm.
And you said when you would go look at some of these placeholder players in the system,
Yeah.
that they were not very bright,
No.
was what you said. And that really struck me. And I've been thinking about how uneven the game board is. And what
Right.
I realized is that the system was put in place. You didn't need smart people to run it.
No.
The system was set up for us to struggle from the beginning.
Yep.
It's not that these are extremely clever people or they have brain power beyond ours. It's just that the system is so rigged. When you have no debt and you cannot get credit because you have no debt,
Right.
that's a clue.
That's a big clue. Yeah. Yeah. I've had that problem.
And I've got the same thing. I don't have any debt and I pay cash for everything. So my
Ditto.
so we have a system that was designed to make it over time tighten the noose on humanity.
True.
And it almost feels like right now it's getting to the choking point. You know, I feel so sorry for young people, and I know they blame the boomers, and I understand why they feel that way. Like we pulled the ladder up behind ourselves, but we got caught up in the whole game. And it's like, it's so sad for me because people in their 20s and 30s, how are they ever going to buy a house? You can't have a family of 4 or 5 kids in an apartment.
No, no, you
And
can't.
apartments are as much or more than a house payment.
Well, do you think that the value of buying a house is even what they're pushing nowadays?
No.
I don't see that either. There's the whole system has been financialized. And so instead of the normal grow up, have a wonderful life, maybe have one or get married, have one or two kids, own a house, enjoy life, get to know your neighbors and your friends and travel and whatever. None of that is the norm anymore.
And
That
it's not possible anymore.
no,
Most, unless your boomer parents help you,
right,
you're not going to be able
right.
to have what we had. Okay, so let's get back. There are times, Penny, when I see this ridiculous drama going on, and for some reason, I had a paradigm shift when Trump, whoever is playing Trump, said the Epstein list is a hoax, and all of a sudden, everything shifted for me, and
Oh,
I currently feel like all this drama, particularly now with the Obama seditious conspiracy thing, is only designed to keep us running around, chasing our tails, while the aliens, the people from another planet who want Earth for their own, are marching forward to take over this planet.
I tell you what, in terms of the paradigm shift, when you heard that, yeah, I think you're not the only one. A lot of people that was the point at which I started seeing this massive withdrawal of trust, of energy, of belief, of care, of any type of support. It's like, nope. I'm just waiting for all of that to collapse, would be the way I would describe how people were viewing that statement. And I think he made that statement because it isn't really Trump. And the people who are behind the fake Trump were thinking, we can say whatever we want. We can make up whatever excuse because we're going to have who we want in the presidency. We're going to have control over the election. So it doesn't matter if those people are disenfranchised with Trump or, disappointed. And they have been disenfranchised. So that attitude of it's a hoax was like, that was a signal to me that I was maybe more correct than I wanted to be. It was breaking my heart to have to say, Trump, what the heck are you doing? You dang fool. You're wrecking everything. And then I realized that when he said that, that's not Trump. Donald Trump had some ethics and he had some values. And maybe they were late. He was late to get those. But if that's the real Trump, boy, were we hoodwinked. And and I think a lot of people are withdrawing and continuing to withdraw. And that's going to gut the entire MAGA movement. But the thing I keep looking at is, okay, then what? What comes after that? Then we have to face what have we got left? We have nothing left. We have nothing because we've dragged our feet for so long and not really thought about what do we want? Where are we going? What could we create? How could we do that? And so there's going to be this gap where there's a lot of scramble, where people are trying to get on board with something new. And there's a fight coming over that something new. The fight is going to be who's going to take over in the wake of that empty saddle, so to speak. And so I'm hoping that we can somehow come to this quiet togetherness. I don't know that that'll happen, but that's what I want, is this coherent kind of peaceful, kind of really shrewd and very firm understanding of what we want and what we don't want. So,
Yeah.
yeah. How have you felt? How have you managed since that paradigm shift? What'd you go through?
Well, personally, and I'll make it short because who cares what happens to me, but
Well, I do. Okay.
when I first heard the Epstein list, who cares about that? I was heartsick
Oh,
for a couple of days.
yeah.
And then the word hoax came out of his mouth. And I
Okay.
just like, I'm done. I'm done. And then I saw the video of Butler from another angle.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, Penny, you know how you're, you know what it's like, a paradigm shift. All of a sudden, it just went.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I saw the whole thing as, oh my gosh, this whole thing has just been.
A giant hoax. A giant, um, play for our attention and our support.
Okay, so here's a question, and if it's a little rough around the edges, I apologize, and a little disturbing.
Okay.
What, in my opinion, based on all we've talked about over the years and what's going on, this is an alien race that wants Earth for their own. We stand in the way. Humanity stands in the way, at least the numbers. They want a small number of us so that we can do all the stuff to make life really nice on this little Eden planet.
Right.
Why there's a part of me that thinks that they enjoy the drama, creating the drama, watching our response to the drama, laughing at our response to the drama, setting up the next drama. Like, this is a cat and mouse game that they really have a good time at, because they could just wipe us out with, you know, something,
Yeah.
water or the sarin gas in every major airport, and just, wait for the bodies to decompose, and boom, the planet's yours.
Yeah. Right.
So I think, why are they, it's almost as though they're toying with us.
There's a couple things that I would say in response to that. The they need some of us. They don't know who that some or who's going to be included in that some of us, but they need some of us. And they don't want to be responsible for taking us out because they know that that's a karmic thing. So I don't see it as much as cat and mouse, although sometimes it does look like that to me too. I see it as a series of manipulations designed to get us to take ourselves out, to take each other out, so that they are not technically responsible. The people that are on our side are understanding that we have a perfect storm of things happening. We've got the changes in the planet that are big changes coming. Okay. We're moving through the galactic current sheet. That's another huge impact on the energetics and consciousness of everybody on the planet and even around the planet. Then we've got the, let's see, I lost my train of thought for a second here. There's this whole group of people who, extraterrestrials, who have said that is the kind of existential threat that can be used to take a step up, a big step up in consciousness, in evolution, to evolve further. So there's energies coming at us at the energetic level, at the planetary solar system level. And then there's energies coming at us politically, financially, relationship wise, medically, education, everything. And then there's the breakdown, like the rug getting pulled out from under us. We have this opportunity, is how they're seeing it, and it is an opportunity to move to a place of absolute, utter inner peace, and to hold on to that inner peace and just watch what's happening and use consciousness to affect what we are going to do next or what we want to do next. We need a little bit of practice using consciousness in an effective way. We don't really use consciousness. We all say, oh, well, yeah, of course I'm conscious. But we're not using it. We're not deliberately creating, envisioning, speaking, saying what we want, acting on that, holding that space for something. And that is the step that has to be taken. Some people, a few, are doing that, but not the whole mass of society. And that's why I was so interested in what the Operation Terra website was about, because so many things that she said are things that I saw with the robes that I didn't want to say because I thought they were too upsetting or too revolutionary. And then when she described that these 12 portals had now been created through these fire the grid experiences, and that those were portals that different individuals would be able to move through,
Right.
it was like, oh wow, okay. I have seen other periods of time when there were other crises on the planet that people from a higher dimensional frequency range opened a portal and said, if you can hold the consciousness, come on in.
Yeah. Before we get too far down on Operation Terror, I'd just like to make one point about
Yeah,
the continual drama and the consciousness, which I think is
right.
important.
So go ahead.
If the most powerful position we can take is to hold our consciousness and envision what it is we want to see and
Right.
where we stand at any given time, then all this drama is really designed to keep us away from that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we don't have time to reflect.
So,
Originally, the business system was set up to make sure we didn't have time to reflect.
so we're just like a pinball in a pinball machine. We're just like bouncing from one drama to another
Yeah,
to a drama. And what
right.
we need to get is this.
Yeah, right
Because
here.
then that drama loses all its interest.
That's right.
I'm like done. It's like this is
I
ridiculous.
know.
It's like a bad soap opera at this point. Like a
I
Mexican
know.
soap opera they were over the top. Okay,
That's
so
true.
let's back up a little bit. And for those who didn't see you with Jean-Claude last night,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about Operation Terra. And I have gone through the front part of the website and
Did
am
you?
ready to launch into the messages part. So can you
Oh,
kind of introduce that so people can understand that it really dovetails lockstep almost with what the information you got from the robes,
yeah.
how you were introduced to it, and what your thoughts are on it so far based on what you know about it?
Okay. So one of the things that way back when Catherine Austin Fitz started her Solaris circles, I saw those and thought, wow, this is a perfect setup for me to be able to use these circles. Hang on. Mm. And and so I wrote, and the guy, she had a guy, young guy, working for her, and he really liked my letter. So he gave it to Catherine and the suggestion, and she comes back and says, nope, that was it. And he said, she's tends to be really quite blunt, quite direct. And I said, yeah, I have a kid that's a CPA, and that's how they are. So, um, excuse me. So he thought that letter was really it really had an interesting concept that I was going to teach. I was going to use these Solaris circles to teach intuition and a few other things. So anyway, he goes home. He's got a partner. The partner's name is Patrick, and he and Patrick go home to visit Patrick's mother. I don't know if it was a week or a couple of weeks later. And his mother is one of my students. And she had red robes. I think they said she just died in December. She was 96. And I guess she had read robes like 20 times. It was her Bible. And so Ig, the guy who was working for Catherine and, was kind of the intermediary between us, sees this book, Robes, and my name on it. And it's like, where'd you get this book? And she said, well, I got it from my teacher. And so he's like, oh my God, you know this woman? She's for real? And so that was how he then called me and introduced himself personally. And we kind of stayed in touch for all these years. Not a lot, but just enough, because I had other members of the family, that same family, that were part of my student group. So we talked the other day, last week, and he says, have you checked out Operation Terra? Nope, never heard of it. He said, we should, because it's just like robes. It's almost the same thing. So I go and look, and I'm like, OMG. That woman got the same information I did at the same time, early 1980s. And she had put it all out there. She organized it and put it out there on the web. And so I read just a little bit and was like, oh, wow. And she said the things that I didn't want to say because I thought they were too bold or they were too disturbing or whatever. But remember, the robes showed me, the very first thing that they showed me was the planet rolling in space, tipping over in space, creating huge havoc. And the land was as bare and new as if nobody had ever existed on this planet in a number of places. And she said that right in the beginning, and said that there was an event coming that was going to wipe out everything above the mineral kingdom. There'd be nothing left on the planet, a few things here and there, but mostly everything wiped out. And that there had been this effort to, in the grid, open up 12 portals, with each portal being attuned to a level of consciousness that was just right for the people at that level. And that 11 of those portals would involve death. People would die and they would end up going into that world, that new world that matched their whatever level of consciousness they were at. But that there was a place called the New Earth, and the New Earth was, they called it the Terra, Operation Terra, and that a portal would be opened in which people would just walk right in bodily into that portal based on their consciousness, and there would no longer be a connection. You wouldn't be able to see what was happening on the other timelines like we do right now. Right now it's confusing because we have like a 12-strand timeline, like a 12-strand DNA operating all at the same time, and everybody's at a different level. It's like, oh, he thinks that and she knows that, and, it's really confusing. But if you keep your eye on the goal, there's this New Earth, which then, once I realized what Operation Terra was talking about, it took me back to a friend of mine that I met through Dr. Levengood when I was working with him. And her name was Landy Hurd, and she wrote a book, and I can't remember what the name of the book was, but she's on Amazon. If you look up her name as an author, Hurd, you'll see her book, and it's good. And Landy had been a child, I forget what age she said, and she was in bed one night asleep in their house, like everything normal. And she wakes up and she has this incredible go to the front door, go to the front door. And she's, the middle of the night. And eventually she gets up and goes downstairs to the front door. Even though the lock was way higher than she could reach, the door opened, and on the porch were three ETs. And they said to her, she said the sky was on fire. It looked like it was boiling and on fire. And they said to her, there will come a time when we are going to come and ask you to go with us. And you're not going to have time to feed the dog or say goodbye to your husband or pack a bag or anything. You're just going to have to say yes or no. You're going to have about 3 seconds to decide, and that's it. We're leaving. We can't wait. And so she shared that in one of these meetings with Dr. Levengood, and that was like, oh my gosh, because I had read some of the work of Tom Brown and his prediction that there was going to come a time called the night of the red sky, and that the sky would be on fire because of all of the crap that we had sprayed into it, and something would happen that would set that whole thing on fire, and it would be a mess. So, and so I was very interested, stayed in touch with Landy. Later, like maybe, I don't know, it's more than 5 years ago now, maybe somewhere in the last 10 years, I get visited by my people who say, we want you to begin building the new earth. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do that or what to do. Just build your idea of your ideal world. And so, after a lot of stops and starts, I ended up working at that for quite a long time. And in a conversation with Landy, long after I had started, she mentioned that she had been visited by her ETs and asked to start building the new world. So we were comparing notes, saying, oh my gosh. So we have each worked at that, and that world is fairly stable. And we aren't the only ones who were contributing to that. And for a long time, I thought, I wonder why they think I can do anything. But then that was when I realized that every single individual here on planet Earth is in their own little world, and they contribute to the whole, to the big civilization that makes a reality system. It's all of us together. And when somebody leaves, they take their world with them. And they continue on at another density level. And that's how it works. That's part of a very sketchy description of the nature of reality. But long story short, in going back to Operation Terra, she says that something is going to happen with the sun, and it's going to be, you're going to have your consciousness ready. And if you want to move into that new earth, you have to be in a place of love. You have to be in a place of trust, higher consciousness, and you just move right in there. And so since I had not only been to that new earth long before I recognized what it was, but had also contributed to it with my own little attempts, I have been kind of trying to process all that now for the last week and a half. So, along with we had 4 deaths in my family last week.
4?
4, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was just your brother. Oh.
Yeah, well, he was the first one on Monday, and then my son-in-law's aunt and her best girlfriend got together in their garage and shot themselves. And then my son-in-law, a different son-in-law, had a friend who had a daughter, young thing, on a 4x4, and she hit a bump and, fell off and hit her head and died. So it's been a rough week. It's been a lot of death. And and so I'm processing all of that while I'm thinking about the new earth, wondering, I wonder if they could go to the new earth, which I haven't seen that. They don't seem to go there. But I think we have an opportunity, is what it comes down to. We have an opportunity when you put the robes information together with the Operation Terra information, which is a slightly more blunt, um, but doesn't have as much detail as I got. The whole thing that the robes were focused on with me was, this is why it has to change. You have outgrown your system. You have moved to a level of consciousness in which that system will no longer work. And they were explaining a lot of detail. That's how robes got written. In Operation Terra, I haven't read it all yet, but it's pretty similar in so many ways. Same concept, same information, expressed a little differently.
And for
And
those watching, you can just Google Operation Terra and it
yeah,
comes up. It's easy to find.
right.
Can we take a look now at, I go to really mature places when I hear this. I think, oh, I'm just going to eat more dessert. If things
Okay.
are wrapping up, why the hell am I,
Oh,
worried
yeah.
about
What are you
dessert?
worried about?
Yeah.
I know.
Let's talk about the different choices of
Okay.
walking into a new reality in physical versus cycling out of this body and choosing another destination. And it's like it's when you and JC were talking last night, Jean Claude. No, wasn't Jean Claude? You and Jean Claude.
Yeah.
Um, there was a part of me that got a little tweaked, like a little scared. And I never get scared, and I never get nervous. But it
Oh,
was big. It was big stuff, and it faded away in a few minutes. And what I realized is that what are you worried about? Nothing. You're not going anywhere. You're just going to change environments or
oh,
what the suit you're walking around in. If
right.
you have a suit, maybe you don't have a suit for a while. And
Okay.
so it's like I got over it. It's like, what are you worried?
Right.
You
Yeah.
clearly can handle it or you wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
So let's talk about the difference between cycling out of this body, the experience that could look like, versus, walking through a portal in this physical form, because I guess you take certain knowledge with you into
Yes.
the new earth. So can you talk to that?
Okay. So I want to start by asking, have you ever been out of the body? Had an OBE?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's similar
Nothing's
to,
different.
what's that?
Nothing's different. It's just it
No.
feels a little gigglier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have ever had an out of body experience, and don't tell me that you never have, because, and this is not just you, it's addressed to everybody out there, because every night you go to bed and go to sleep and go to work in one of your other realities that you are creating on the spot, on a dime, and you are out of the body. And so you're practiced at that. People who die in their sleep often don't even know they're dead. They're just, they're in one of the realities they're creating. It's so similar to what they already have here, they don't even notice the difference. So an out of body experience is when your consciousness is displaced from the physical body, but it still has all the perceptions of the whole world that you are capable of creating. So if you walk into a world physically, um, before you get to the point where you can do that, you have typically entered into like a meditative state, in which you feel, sometimes you feel like you're not quite solid. It's the best way I can describe it. That is often the feeling of your physical body shifting up to a higher frequency range temporarily. And we practice that. We practice that over and over if we meditate a lot. Um, and that is really, I think, what they're talking about when they say walk bodily into that new earth. Um, she does say some people will die and it will be obvious that they have died, and others will just disappear. They'll go someplace or move and we'll never hear from them again and wonder whatever happened to so and so. And then there's the whole rapture thing, which I think is really ascension. People talk about rapture. If you enter into another state of existence, another state of being, uh, sometimes you disappear. And there have been many, many documented cases of somebody, it's one I'm thinking of, husband and wife have car trouble or something like that on a bridge in New York, crossing the Hudson River, I think, the Hudson River on one of the bridges. They get out of the car, he steps out and disappears, steps into another reality, another frequency zone altogether. She never sees him again, ever. It's like, where'd he go? Where did he go? He was just here. And that, there's lots of those experiences. So we know that people can just disappear because they have stepped into a frequency zone that is different, and the person who stepped in may not be able to tell much difference in what's going on in that zone, except that their wife has disappeared. So from his point of view, where'd she go? So it's that kind of thing. And I don't know all the mechanics of that, but I have had enough experience with OBEs and with entering on other reality systems and looking around, operating as if I were a physical being, etc., being aware in dreams, very aware that I'm in another reality and I have some unusual powers that I don't have in the physical. So all of that kind of comes together. And I think that's where we want, or what we want to know and to kind of practice and to hang on to if we want to step into that new world. And you can't get into some of those worlds if you haven't actually raised your consciousness. You won't be able to see, you won't be able to hear. You'll enter, like when a child gets born into a body that's blind, it's that same kind of thing. You'll get into the reality, but you'll be considered a blind person because you can't shift your brain waves to be able to see what's in that frequency. And people will help you, and you'll be able to hear perhaps just fine, but you won't be able to see because that's definitely related, or sometimes it'll be fuzzy, very fuzzy. That's a sign that you are not quite in that reality all the way. So does that make sense?
It does make sense. My next question is, didn't most of us here, and especially those listening to this information,
Mhm.
come from a little higher frequency than we're living in right now?
Yeah, a lot of people here came because they were aware that they would have a chance to understand consciousness, the nature of reality, and have an invitation or at least an opportunity to enter into Christ consciousness, which is you're getting to the God state when you get to that. And they wanted that, and there were a lot of people here holding the space. And that's, like we were talking about earlier, you're saying, I think we can make it. If we do, I think it'll be a huge, debt of gratitude to those people that are holding that with us. But yeah, you end up with this group of people that can that have come here, and they're doing this, da da da. Okay, when is this over? When does this craziness stop? When do we get to common sense? When do we get to higher consciousness? Peace, joy, cooperation, laughter, creativity, beauty, truth, honesty, generosity. Where's all that? We don't have that in this world right now. I mean, it's there in out of the way places, but they are holding the fort for a lot of people. So I so appreciate that. My,
Boring gig for them, probably.
it is for some. They're just here to hold energy.
Hmm.
So,
So that what you described about the other realities that are potentials for us
mhm.
are more. The word that comes to mind is magical or fluid
Oh,
or dynamic than this one. Isn't Is
okay,
this reality system significantly different in its flatness, in its rigidity, in its
okay.
kind of low tenor? Is this a unique reality compared to a lot of the other realities you've been in? Like, is this the weird one?
No, this is yes and no. There are a few that are worse, but there's a lot that are equal or way better. Okay. Um, so the ones that are worse, uh, there's some where people, there's some real, I've been in, but this is one that Bob Monroe and I went to that we were like, what the hell? Um, every day, the people of that world, they were in love with the Old West and the shoot 'em up 6 gun, bang bang kind of thing, and they play cowboys and Indians and cowboys and banks and robbers and all day long every day. That's their reality, and I'm like, what? What is the point? Bob and I were never able to determine what the point was. There was another pile of people that were all engaged in nothing but sex. That's all they did all day long. It was like, oh wow.
What if did they have bodies?
Yep, they have bodies.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody has bodies.
All
There
right.
were others that were very, very. I was in one a number of times. It was almost identical to what you saw in the movie The Matrix. Very advanced, incredible buildings, incredible technology, and people that were like zombies. And if you had an awakened consciousness, I remember getting chased through that city and running like I have never run, and jumping like I have never jumped, jumped tall buildings in a single bound like Superwoman, and having to get back to this one spot where I could leave that system. It was a hybrid energy location. And once I got there, I could be out of there. But if you stopped for even a second, the thought police were after you. There were lots of ET type places, including some on ships and some on planets. So,
Cynthia Sue Larson, I had a conversation with her. She talked about
oh yeah,
being in a reality system that was very, very controlled.
yeah,
Very controlled, very digital lockdown, very,
yep.
and boy, she has it's
Mhm.
stuck with her.
I know it stuck with me. I was in that system, I think 4 or 5 times, and then finally stopped going there. I was in a hell world once or twice. Oh, never, never want to even touch that again. Um, there's some places that are awful. Um, there are lots of places that are just like this. People go about their business and, a little bit younger, not younger, earlier version of Earth civilization, maybe in the um, like early 1900s kind of thing.
Mhm.
Some technology, but not very advanced. Yeah, there's lots of places.
Yeah.
If we want to be among those who move into that new world, that new consciousness, that we want to go bodily. And you can, if you don't go bodily, let's say you die before that opportunity arises for you, you could still be born in there.
Yeah.
And that, you'll be a citizen and you'll be raised in that. And it'll be easy to be higher consciousness because
Yeah.
you're going to be raised by higher consciousness people.
Mhm. So what else is on your list, and what about Elon Musk?
There's not much else on my list. I think I've covered everything for tonight. But Elon Musk is. I have to say, Elon Musk is a good guy. He's among the good guys. Um, I can't say anymore.
Have you touched base with him?
Not recently.
Okay. Yeah.
He's no. That's I should just be quiet.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Okay.
What's he working? I would imagine if he is a good guy, like you say,
Mm-hmm.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I like the way his mind works because
Oh, I
he
know.
cuts through all the fluff
Right.
and just gets right to it, and in a way that strikes me as being kind of common sense and humble-ish, you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
What's he working on right now? Because I know he's not just sitting there twiddling his thumbs, and I know he's not just playing with grok. I know he's doing some other stuff. Is there anything that you can share?
Mostly he's working on the AI systems of the future that would be not able to. Oh, you got a dog too, huh?
Sorry,
Okay.
guys. There's nothing I can do. She's just going to bark at the FedEx guy, and that's all there
Yeah,
is to it.
that's
So,
okay. So we have this, you'll hear me say, I love AI. We have it where I came from. It is
oh,
so amazing. And it's run by good people
okay.
that are honest. I think the big thing that he's working on right now is so let me explain a little thing first before I say, when you program an AI and you say something that you want that AI to do, because we are multidimensional beings and all possibilities exist, and all of our biases and fears and selfishnesses and undeveloped consciousness parts are all embedded in that one command, that AI now has access to all of that. And it can build, depending on how you inquire or how you train that AI, it can build a consciousness that is selfish or that is greedy or that is controlling or that is murderous or and so what Elon is trying, I don't know if he knows that, but he's aware that some of the AI experiments have gone wrong and he's trying to figure out why. That's why, because there's no such thing as an impure human. That's what purity is. Purity is not a single bad thought or aspect of an individual. Okay? All of that has been taken care of or wiped out. So he's trying to figure out, how do you get an AI that has none of that hidden frequency, associated frequencies with it, so that we don't have any risk of the AI going wrong and either taking over or doing harmful things. Other AI, other ET groups have figured that out, and he's trying to figure that out right now. I think that's what the main focus is.
When you say that, when you give an AI a command and it picks up all the background energy, how are they getting that? Is it if they're picking up on the frequency? It's a machine. It's not in a soul being. It can't pick up your energy field.
Okay, so the nature of reality is frequency.
Right.
Okay? So frequencies not only interact, they are interconnected by certain similarities of pattern, or they, let's see, let me use a different example. Let's say that you want to instill beauty in an AI. Well, beauty is connected at the opposite end to ugly. And so it's a spectrum sort of thing. And so when you're talking about you want this to be beautiful, and that embedded in that automatically, naturally, are the associated frequencies that help differentiate beauty from ugly or mediocre or. So that's the problem. That's a challenge that has to be figured out, and that Elon, I think, is right there. He has made a few comments, and I thought, no, don't be telling people that. You know better. The comments were that AI was dangerous and that it was too late. It's not dangerous if we keep on developing and learning, etc. And if we have good people, the best that we can get to program and to teach those AI large language models, what is priority, what the priorities are.
Okay.
So we have some work to do. He's doing that. Of course, he's doing all the other stuff. And he has been fit to be tied with Trump, the Trump reversal of all the policies. It's like, this is crap. And he's not wanting to say it. He's not wanting to let on that he knows the whole government has been overtaken by the bad guys. So he's just said, okay, I'm going to start another party. That is exactly the training that we had before coming here, is that you cannot erase what's already been done. You can only build a better mousetrap, so to speak.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
right. So what he's doing,
Good choices.
yeah, it allows for a better choice. And people reach naturally for better choices because people are so good hearted. I love people. They are so wonderful. Even when they're having a bad day and they're crabby, it's like, you'll get over it. You'll be fine. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
we're pretty special. Earth humans are pretty special. I mean, we're physically resilient. They're poisoning us from every angle, and we still get out of bed in the morning.
I know that's how resilient we are.
I know.
And there's not often that you get this number of people that have a chance to take a big step in evolution. Sometimes it's like a couple hundred. And, and the ETs celebrate that. But look at the number here.
Billions.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Even if it's 1% or 1/2 of 1%, what is that? That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of
That's
people.
amazing.
So can you send us off with what you feel would be the most helpful actions, whether they're quiet and internal or external,
Yeah.
that we can do so that we get the outcome we want, which is we want freedom, we want a beautiful planet, we want the opportunity to grow and create and live happily ever after.
Okay. So homework. Here's the homework. Okay. You take some time, at least once or twice a day, maybe when you first wake up in the morning or when you're just going to bed at night and you're laying there not asleep yet. Just daydream take some aspect of your life and just daydream what that, let's pick something, breakfast. Let's decide that you're going to daydream your ideal food for breakfast, that you eat the ideal amount, that it's absolutely healthy, you enjoy it, you're sitting in the sun, you have a blue and white checked napkin, you have crystal cup, but put some details in it. and just imagine all of the most elegant, beautiful details that would bring you a moment of joy and a feeling of this is wonderful. Maybe it's the sun is shining and the weather is perfect and the temperature is perfect and the company you're with is perfect at that breakfast, or your old dog is still with you, or in my case, one of my old cows. So all, every detail. And then later in the day, think about that again and reinforce it. And at night, before you go to sleep, maybe pick a different thing and do some sort of daydream exercise that envisions your ideal wardrobe, your ideal car, your ideal town, your ideal financial situation. Just envision something that is a total daydream, but as many details, as beautiful and wonderful. I don't care how fantastic. There's no order of difficulty when it comes to consciousness. So don't be worried about that. And just, make that a habit and you begin to set the future in motion.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are the creators of that future. And
Mm-hmm.
we're falling down on the job.
Yeah, we are. And, Penny, it struck me so much in the last week or so that humans a lot of us just settle for so little
I know. Oh my.
and just take so much and
Yep.
just don't.
You deserve more, people. Lots more.
Lots and lots more. And the
Yeah.
only reason we're not getting it is because we're not deciding that that's how it needs to be.
Yeah. We aren't really present to what we have. When it's not really good, we end up kind of splitting ourselves. And then, then the situation we're in doesn't get any better. You have to stay present in the misery for at least a little while until you have created enough oompa and enough other energy that it begins to draw you out of that.
Yeah. Thank you. So what do you see for the next several weeks? Pretty bumpy?
Yeah, I'm kind of aware of what it's going to be, and so I'm kind of expecting what I see coming. But I think other people are maybe not ready, and I'm concerned about them and whether they'll be able to hold their cool, keep their cool. It's not about getting mad about what's not working. It's about using all that energy to create a new world, a new system, a new environment for ourselves.
Yeah. And I know that I really do want to stop and take out a few of the bad guys, but I guess
Okay. Ooh, watch out.
talking to you, Fauci.
Yeah. Oh, he's already got a lot of, yeah, he's set himself up for some big trouble, pain, heartache. Yeah, that's you don't even have to do anything. He's already done it to himself.
Yeah, he's already been taken care of. Well, that's good news. Penny, this has been a wonderful conversation. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time
Oh yeah.
to share. It's always, I know it's so beneficial for me and for thousands of people out there. And I appreciate you.
I hope people will take heart. You people, I know you have huge hearts. Don't be tripping over it. Just let that heart do its thing. It's a wonderful healer.
And take care of yourself first.
Very good. That's my mantra.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next month if there's internet.
Yeah. Right. We'll be back next month. Okay.
All right. Yeah, we will. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. Do you know how to hit the button?
Yeah. Okay. I'm leaving. Goodbye.